easier after that because you're playing from behind. You don't quite have that same level of momentum.
Yeah.
The difference for the Dark
remaining.
Seer is he needs the Soul Ring to spam, whereas the Shadow Fiend, he needs souls.
Yeah, and we can't bottle Crow.
That's
right?
true. That is true, yeah.
Can go to the jungle, but then AM's going to have a good time. So I think a matchup that AM does very well in, if he plays it right, Illidan's a fairly aggressive, although not necessarily so much in the very early laning stage, but I'm curious to see how they look to play this matchup. In any case, they end it with a Viper for G, so not kind of your iconic G here. We've seen a lot of Leshrac from him lately, more of the like explosive carry mids, but just a solid hero that can create some space for the anti-mage.
Yeah, I definitely agreed. And the mid matchup should be easy for him, regardless of who goes mid, whether it's the Ember Spirit, possibly the Dark Seer. I mean, this is kind of an atypical draft from 4ASC. It will be Nymphy that takes the Ember Spirit and will go mid. So Viper, yeah, he's going to have a good time in this matchup. I think a smart pick for G this go around. And the final choice for the anchors, that is Slark. That's Matumba Man's hero. He'll be headed to the safe lane with that, supported by Volix here on the Winter Wyvern. I feel like we've talked a lot about Slark throughout this tournament, about how strong he can be on this patch. We've seen a couple of games that could potentially be good for Slark, and actually haven't seen him picked up here. Now, not a huge amount of lockdown on VP, not a huge amount of AoE like a Quap or someone like that, so it could be a good game for the Slark, but conversely, it doesn't really add too much control on the side of 4ASC, so they're still pretty light on stuns and disables themselves to try and lock down this anti-mage.
Yeah, they do have a lot of really good chasers. I guess that's the big thing here for 4ASC. Track, you've got the mobility of an Ember Spirit, Slark, obviously, just very fast with Shadow Dance, and Surge, Ion Shell. So, not the best team fight unless they get that amazing Vacuum Winter's Curse, which is very unlikely, but not impossible. But they're just great at these little skirmishes. So, let's see how the game develops. We're now underway. Game 1 of our best of 3. Is it our only match for today? Because originally there were going to be 2.
It is our only match for today. We'll have 2 best of 3s tomorrow and the next day, and then just the best of 5 on July 5th for the grand finals. So this is kind of the last of the short days before the tournament wraps up.
All right. Well, we'll get into the thick of it here then. 4 anchors, Radiant Squad, VP. We'll introduce them real quickly. You mentioned DK Phobos in the off lane. Making some cool plays happen here. This is at least I haven't seen that many of the Tusk offlane games. I've just seen the
kind of clockwork-esque
the mid games. But yeah, he's able to do the clock cog block, but he does it with the ice shards.
It's possible I just haven't noticed, but I don't think I've seen a Tusks do this very regularly. This is kind of cool, actually. It'll get some great lane control for the Naga.
I have not seen it at all. Now, maybe that's just because I've been tuning into other tournaments like after the laning stage in a lot of cases, but
yeah,
that is interesting. All right, Lil, going to be playing your Naga Siren. G will be on the Viper mid, and heading top, FNG the Bane, and of course Illidan on the anti-mage.
All right, and Radiant side, we got through about half the introductions here. We talked about Matumba Man with Volix down bottom, Nymphy on the Ember Spirit, and a 2-1-2 for the 4 anchors as well. Boogie here on the support, Bounty Hunter, and Trixie. He'll be on the Dark Seer, headed to the offlane. Already has that Ion Shell that Soul Ring recipe, Ion Shell leveled up, and he's doing okay at least for now. Hanging out near this creep pole camp, trying to at least leech some XP as Illidan goes for these last hits here.
Now, of course, when I was talking about the matchup, well, first of all, this is a 2v2, not a 1v1. But that was what the old creep equilibrium is. Bottom lane, bit of a skirmish breaking out. Lil and Phobos taking some hefty damage here, but we'll be okay. But that was when the creeps would move out much farther here in both off lanes. So you'd have to go close to the enemy tower. There's more room to chase you as the Dark Seer in the off lane. Nowadays, in general, the off lanes are a little bit easier for whoever has to go there. I mean, they used to be called the suicide lane.
Yeah.
I don't really think that's the right name anymore. They're slightly more difficult, but not that bad.
I think it also, that old phrase sort of, it's changed with the times. You know, there's some other old phrases that I won't repeat that have gone out of favor for good reason. I think that fits the profile as well.
Do you mean in, like, general language or in Dota?
Yeah, well, both actually.
I'm like, what are you thinking of here?
No, like the phrase ward bitch, for example. That's something, no cargo on it. Looks like there's nothing on it. But, you know, that's a phrase that's fallen out because it has a very negative connotation towards playing support. And people have realized, hey, supports can win games. Wards are not for bitches. Wards are for the real players. You know, the warriors, the guys that make it easier.
Maybe that's true in pro play.
Hey, I used to hear casters use that phrase, okay? I haven't heard a caster use that phrase in a long time. Really? Do people still say that?
No, I mean, part of it's like, I think it's less like a lexicon change and more of like the game has changed where...
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Supports actually get farmed now. Like in the old Dota, like, well... like a TI2, TI3 era, like supports. Well, TI3 was a very slow farming patch, but especially on TI2, like it wasn't unusual for support to have no farm. So they basically would be reduced to a walking ward vehicle. It wasn't even just like a mean thing to say. It was kind of a factual, like, all this guy can do is drop wards.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But
it's still demeaning.
Yeah, and what you were talking about earlier, though, the nature of the offlanes has changed, so you're not as suicidal if that's the role you want. And speaking of the offlane here, Phobos could be victim of the first blood, gets off a snowball to turn things around, but auto attacks will finish him off. Matumba Man draws the first blood on the Slark. Nice setup there, and it's still difficult, but it's definitely easier than it was, and it's just a different experience. I think,
I'm not going to try to go to bat for the phrase ward bitch too hard here. Just saying, I mean, I think there was some logic behind it, even if it was a little offensive. But
fair enough.
Well, with that, this is kind of the difference here between the Tusk and the Clock offlane. The Clock can actually defensively protect himself with the cogs, but Boogie, top lane, caught out by the tri-lane.
They've also a Sentry and a Dust there for the Dire side. Great setup. FNG will get credit for that one. Bane has nothing but Dust right now, so it looks like he's just a walking reveal vehicle, as it turns out.
The other thing was it wasn't just like the version was different. I think players weren't nearly as good at finding farm on supports. Like players like AUI 2000 had only just, well, he was a carry at the time. Like this was before the age of, you know, your EGMs, AUI 2000s. Really came to prominence where they like had mastered the art of being greedy in the jungle, you know, getting that bit of farm, having a mech or a force staff at around that like 15-20 minute mark, and you know, having some relevance later on in the game. So
yeah,
it was a very, very different time.
That's for damn sure, LD. I can't argue that point. So 1-1 here, things pretty even. This is a much more quiet early game than we've seen in a lot of the matches in the earlier rounds of this tournament. Both teams playing fairly cautiously thus far. Nobody overextending, everything going about as you would expect. The mid lane matchup, one we haven't talked about too much, but boy is it one-sided. G completely dominating, though. Illidan up top, could be going down here. Bounty Hunter sneaks around the back, hits him with the Janata, and Shuriken Toss will secure the kills. That makes it 2-1. Nice little pickup there for the Anchors. They're going to need a few more of those to make up for this mid lane matchup. Right now, Nemphy has 8 last hits total. Forget about the Nyz LD. That's not even happening here.
It's an unwinnable matchup, to be honest. Viper versus Ember, there's just no way you can take this. Valak's bottom lane, though, is going to be in trouble here. The Ice Shark's doing work. Coming in as Matumba Man. Valak puts himself under, forces Phobos to TP out. He's too late. He gets brought down by the last auto attack. What a beautiful bait by Valak's there, and great reaction by Matumba Man as well.
You know, I feel like that is Phobos just not quite knowing the limitations of Winter Wyvern. You can tell that he's like, okay, I'm going to stand my ground. I want to man fight this. Up top, Trixie will try to TP out, so we'll hold that thought. He surges, but he's blocked in, nowhere to go. It's ping-pong back and forth. He finally finds the gap, but it's too little, too late. Now the Dark Seer will get sent to the grave as the Anti-Mage finds some vengeance from that death earlier. But Volix, knowing his limitations there, pops the Ice Cube, walks away. I wasn't even in danger. What was the Tusk going to do? Very nice.
Yeah. What an action-packed game already. 5 kills, 6 minutes in, and a courier down, so I would say 6 important objectives taken already.
Very even,
a lot of movement, too.
Yeah, just back and forth. The graph close to zeroed out as both sides kind of go blow for blow with each other. So how do you start to recover the Ember Spirit? Like you said, you expect him to lose the lane against Viper, but
you get your basic items and you go for kills.
Okay.
You use the Ion Shell with the Ember. Trixie is already almost level 6, so he's having a really good time. Ember's not bad at farming the stacks. He really needs someone to tank them, and they also kind of want the Darkseer to be farming those, but 4 Anchors making their go on mid. Double damage Bounty Hunter. This is going to wear off soon, though. They get off that first Janata auto take. The leap is not going to connect. Matumba Man now getting part of that 3-hero snowball stun and rushing in as FNG. Sleeps Boogie under the tower. And now DK Phobos barely able to retreat out. Heavy damage. They do find Valix.
All right, out comes the Cold Embrace. He has the reset tool. I don't think they really want to go for this. The Wyvern's still pretty healthy, and yeah, they'll just back up. Phobos heads right back to the well. So nice turnaround, but now up top, it's Trixie that's in some trouble. Holding on to the Surge. Lil will put out the Ensnare. Do they actually have the damage before he surges away? Man of Void helps set it up, and Illidan will give him that one last auto attack to secure the kill. Another nice pick off here for the Dire side, and another kill for the Anti-Mage. That'll put him 2-1-1 already. Man, he's got some pretty good farm going his way. Decent CS, and I mean, look at G, though. He's going to have an 8-minute mech. He's got the mech already at 7.5. It's on the way on the Courier. 56 and 33 in 7 minutes. This is very impressive from the Viper. He has gotten everything he's wanted.
Yeah, he really has. He's had a fantastic time. As you would expect, just an unwinnable matchup. No supports giving him any kind of space. They're going to bring Nymphy into the jungle here. He does have the level 3 Flame Guard, and he'll just start farming. They may even just want to give the mid lane to a support. Let him get some experience, even if the other lanes suffer a bit.
Yeah.
Trixie's abandoned the off lane as well. They are giving this just to Boogie. And that is the one thing 4 Anchors have. They've got 2 heroes who can really farm the jungle nicely. Later on, the Slark can do it as well. Once he maxes out Dark Pact. Actually, he's already got max Dark Pact, so he could too. But then VP have free reign over the lanes.
Yep, and this is one of the issues that we've talked about in matches prior, that you can't have too many heroes that rely on the jungle for recovery, because it is a finite resource to some degree. They are spreading around as now Boogie goes off lane, and Nymphy will continue to stay mid. He hasn't cleared out the jungle yet. He ended up just stacking that hard camp once more. Boogie still only level 4, but getting decent experience. 1-1, no assist on the board yet. He's been fairly active. The one kill he did set up was on the anti-mage, so there's maybe some additional value there. Once he hits level 6, though, that's when things get a little easier for 4ASC, perhaps. They're incentivized to get more aggressive around the map. So G will disconnect here.
All right.
Hopefully we can get back in.
Well, it seems like the stream's a little choppy here, guys, so we're going to quickly reset it. So don't picnic, just refresh here in a moment, but we should be right back trying to fix some FPS issues up.
I see it, too.
Are you looking at the task manager? Do you have Photoshop open? No. Browsers, Skype? Have you been restarting that thing each night?
No, he means the whole system.
Have you been restarting the PC?
Yeah. No, I should reset the full system every morning. Yeah, you should do the whole system.
You should be shutting it down each night. This is, like, I think I mentioned that to you the other day. Maybe I didn't explain it, but this is what happens when you don't restart it sometimes. Unfortunately, it just gets a little choppy. No big deal. Don't worry about it, man. Although it was weird how choppy it was, but it was like super choppy. Just let us know when we're back.
They're about to resume, I think.
All right, well, for those of you in Dota TV, we are still here, casting away. Do apologize. We've got 4 Anchors down on CS heavily here as far as their 2 biggest roles go. We'll see the Ember Spirit jumping back. Only 20 CS, a third of G on the Viper.
Yeah, the Ember Spirit is one of those unique heroes that can't beat the Viper, can't farm against him, but very difficult for Viper to actually kill him unless he really oversteps his bound, because you always have that fire on him down. Even if you get hit by a Viper strike, you can still usually get away unless you're really not prepared for the Viper to ult you. So Viper can't kill him, but he'll be happy to take all that farm and deny heavy. I mean, G has 39 denies right now. My gosh.
It's just impossible. He's only got level 2 Nether Toxin, but that's really all you need against Ember. Ember does not...
Boogie up top. They found him. The Sentry Ward disappeared right as he walked up, just long enough for them to catch vision. They hit him with a dust, and there you go.
And they've already got a fresh pack of it on Lil. There's going to be no freebies here. They try to make a go on mid. Jumping onto G, they do get the pounce to connect, though. This could be the kill, but he's got a mech available. Pops it, just walks away. They may even turn this fight completely around. They snowball G forward. Uppercut down the Wyvern, working on Matumba Man, perhaps. Boogie, or rather DK Phobos, getting out the Sigil, and they pursue. Salving up G, suddenly back to full HP, practically.
Oh my.
They bit off way more than they can chew. That's a max corrosive skin Viper with 17 armor when he pops the mech, and of course the extra burst heal. That is not a kill you're gonna find.
Yeah, definitely not. Only 1 death for 4ASC, so not the worst fight ever, but it is space created for Illidan in the top lane. He farmed that entire time, and to be fair, Matumba Man was also getting a little bit of space. We'll see a dive past the tower. Trixie will surge back. No big damage coming out from Illidan there.
I mean, this is the thing now, right? It's going to be 4 protect 1. VP can just 4-man with the other heroes. Yeah. Naga can maybe try to transition to slightly more of a core role. Definitely doesn't need to. And Anti-Mage is going to have a free reign of it. And then you choose. Do you fight the 4-man squad, or do you go after AM?
It's a good squad, too.
They don't have a great ganker for AM, as we talked about. Like, where's the lockdown, really? They have Winter's Curse. That's it. And other than that, like, are they going to win that 5v4? I'm not even sure they will. They don't have a mech right now. VP are, like you said, a very strong 4v5 squad to begin with.
Yeah, soon they'll have that reset tool in the Naga. Not quite level 6, but it's coming very soon here. FNG just got Fiend's Grip, so they actually have some lockdown for these more elusive carries. Your Slark, your Ember, your Bounty Hunter, what have you. There will be a rotation down bottom, a smoke from the Dire side. They'll try to bait it out with Lil, and it looks like they'll be successful here. In comes Phobos. Ice Shards on 2, channels up the Snowball. FNG with the grip onto Volix. They actually ignore Matumba Man, knowing that the Ice Cube could come out. They get the kill on the Wyvern. Now Nemphy comes cruising on in. Nightmare puts him to sleep.
He might be dead. No, they're not going to chance it.
I think they're assuming he has a remnant down somewhere. I'm not sure if he does. I don't see it on the mini-map. So.
He also was out of mana there. He had popped the Flame Guard, but this just leaves G to siege out mid, and guess who's not stopping him? Boogie is doing nothing about that.
Right now, Boogie's like, please don't attack me. I really would just like to leech to level 6 here. That would be great. And I think he might actually get it. Once this ranged creep dies, Boogie should just have enough XP. And yeah, there it is. Now
they're
Track
just
is
not ready to fight yet. They don't have Winter's Curse. They just got Track, that creep wave. Ember Spirit has no items. Boots, poor man Shield Aquila, but no drums, no phase boots, none of really the.
But he does have a smoke, so he is ready to
and they don't have the mech yet on Darkseer either. Kind of smoking Ember, huh?
Yep, I guess so. Yeah, the Darkseer's not even close.
I think he might have spent his gold before he thought he was going to die, just to use some reliable gold up. But if your Ember's reduced to buying smokes in almost any situation, save it ultra late game, you're not having a great game.
Yeah, you're in some trouble. G now, he gets that last hit on the tier 1 tower mid, and he is really high level here. Level 10, the highest in the game. He hasn't had to leave the lane yet, so I guess not a big surprise. Illidan's still bullying Trixie in his safe lane, getting very close to that battlefield. He did step off for the power tread, so we'll slow down the BF timing just a little bit, but halfway towards that Claymore now, which will be right around the corner.
All right, Andrew, it's not looking good for 4 anchors, and
it's really not.
I think it's where they just have to find a couple of good fights. Use the Bounty Hunter to give them some intel. Snowball, catch VP going in one at a time, but they find Boogie. This is not how they want these fights to begin.
Okay, Illidan getting low, though. He doesn't survive. He blinks out, but still dies to the DOTs of the Ember. Oh, Lil, he gets off the ultimate, but will die as soon as it comes out. This could be the fight that they've been looking for. Could be a deny from the Bane. Yes, nicely played by FNG on the other side of it. Phobos going blow for blow with Matumba Man. I don't think Phobos is going to win this duel. No, certainly not. And then back on the other side, it's G trying to defend his tower. The man against the world. He may be tanky, but can he take on 4? Nemphy diving him deep. He's got the buff from the Darkseer. No Flame Guard for another few seconds. G standing his ground pretty damn well here. Pops the mech, but Volix baits it out with the cold embrace and lives.
For 4 anchors.
Whoa.
Wowza.
Where did that come
from? It looks so bad, too. Like, Bounty Hunter just runs into a sentry, immediately gets hit by the net, but they were slow on the song. Anti-Mage got hit by the Darkseer wall, which did a lot of damage to him off the bat from his own illusion, mana burning him, and then Ember comes in with some nice follow-up. 4 anchors deceptively strong if they get the jump on you and they burst you. They're very squishy, but they do have some very good team fight. And now, all of a sudden, not only do they have their mech, they've got 1,200 gold on Trixie, the drums complete on the Slark of Matumba Man, your Ember's got his phase boots and 700 gold. That was a 4,000 gold swing, practically. And now... Yep. It's anybody's game.
Yeah, I mean, before that, it looked like Virtus Pro were kind of on the verge of just balling out of control and taking this game over, and instead, it goes the complete other way. Illidan, very unlucky there. He almost lived. I was one of those. He ended up dying over here after he blinked, but still that little bit of last tick damage got him, so he died away from the fight, but... It seemed like VP were just a little too greedy with their timings. Illidan waiting to blink out too late, and Lil as well. That Song of the Siren came out just as he was dying to the DOTs and got instantly canceled, basically. The other issue, G came to that fight a little bit late. He's the mech carrier, and they never got to use it for the core of the team fight. And speaking of the devil here, as G gets initiated on, but with the TP rotations, 4 ASC will back out.
That's exactly right. G wasn't there at the start, and I think it's less like, oh man, G really ruined that fight and, through. It's more... They just got caught off guard in general. They saw the Bounty Hunter. They didn't expect 3 or 4 heroes. They certainly didn't expect the entire 5-man squad to just descend upon them. And that was the one way 4 anchors were going to win a fight at that point, is just to dogpile on heroes that didn't have their team with them, as we will see Boogie caught out and dealt with in the river. Let's give the Anti-Mage a little bit of gold, and with that, he has completed Battle Fury, but he gets caught.
Whoa, in comes Nemphy, but now Nemphy's out of mana. He's in pretty deep for this. Mana Boy does a lot of damage. I think a worthy trade for the Ember Spirit if he can get out of here, but that certainly won't happen. still gets a solo kill, and given how far behind he was earlier in this game, that's a nice little pick off. And on top of that, create some space for his teammates to take out that tier 1 tower bottom. Matumba Man getting that last hit.
Absolutely worth it. Ember dying, like overall it is a 2-for-1, but Bounty Hunter was already dead. So getting that kill there, very big, and it shows you how strong the Ember Spirit Darkseer combo is, even with the Spell Shield already skilled up. And let's see, does he have any points in stats yet? I believe 3 points already. He's gone for that more defensive tanky build, with the Burning build on the Anti-Mage, and he still gets killed off by it from like around half HP. It's a very potent combo, and this is the time to kill him. Once he gets that first HP item, it gets a lot more difficult if you haven't already kept him down along the way.
And this is part of that window we talked about where this duo is ridiculously strong. It doesn't get more powerful than this. Both the Ion Shell and the Flame Guard are maxed out, so you have to make the most of it while that damage is really high on the curve, like you were talking about before he starts to beef up a little more. We'll see what he wants to grab next. Picks up a Ring of Protection, so I imagine a Vlad's could be on the horizon.
Yeah, I would think so.
Is Tusk working on a mech of his own here? Is that what's happening? He's got a headdress and a chainmail. I thought he had a headdress. I thought maybe he was going for a pipe.
Medallion.
Like pipe medallion, maybe? The headdress is a little bit strange. Maybe just a casual headdress.
Maybe he was going to go Vlad's, and then AM's like, no, I want my own Vlad's, and now he's going to go Medallion.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure. It's a little bit unusual.
It could be Pipe Crimson. Now, let's be fair. He has upgraded the Buckler.
It's not really a game. It's not really a great Crimson game, though.
No, it's not a great one.
There's no summons. There's no illusion-based carries. I don't know. I think it was just a little miscommunication here, perhaps.
Okay. Well, I thought the chainmail could be a medallion or something, but only so many things you can do with the Buckler. That's not.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know.
A very
maybe they want a double mech. It's strange.
So when does double mech work? As for split pushing, double mech is incredible. If you're doing two, like
incredible is a strong word.
Okay,
it's
that's
not
true.
Terrible.
It's fair enough. It goes from not terrible. I don't know. I have not seen a double mech strat in quite some while.
It's just a big money investment is the issue. And
yeah, I mean, that's a Blink Dagger right there. And for Tusk, a Blink Dagger is a pretty big deal. Viper close to his Aghanim.
I'm not sure. I'm curious to see what DK Phobos does with it. He's close enough to a mech at this point that maybe he just goes for, but it's certainly curious.
Yeah. Some tower trading as the 4 anchors move into the tier 2 in the top lane. Looks like it'll go down uncontested. They trade 1 for 1, but they only give up a tier 1.
Or I guess the other option is maybe Illidan sits on just a Bassi and Tusk gets the Vlads, but he's not always going to be with AM is really the issue. They're going on mid though.
Yeah, here we go. Matumba Man gets Fiend's Grip, but he's able to break it. Oh, how nice. The Bounty Hunter gets left behind. They'll finish him off with Ice Shards. Now Volix on the backside. May get left behind, but has an Arctic Burn. Song of the Siren from Lil sets it up. And this Wyvern's definitely going to fall. All the while,
they got Trixie too. What a play by Lil. He can net him.
Oh,
I don't know if he can kill him, though.
Okay, he gets to the net over there. The Wyvern dies to the Walrus Punch, and yeah, the TP home, knowing that there's no ensnare to interrupt.
Meanwhile, your anti-mage pushing him bottom. Matumba Man's coming. It looks like maybe he's lagging. He kind of stutter-stepped on the creeps. Oh, he was waiting for the blink out. He catches Illidan on the retreat. Didn't know he was coming. Oh. Ends up going down. He had vision of the Slark there for like 3 seconds. If he had known, he could have blinked over this way into the trees and TP'd out, but didn't expect it and ends up getting caught and punished.
Yep. Unfortunate for Illidan, he did get that tier 2 tower, so it was a 1-for-1 tower trade. It ends up being a 1-for-2 at the cost of his own life.
It is double mech. All right.
Yeah, there it is. It's completed
double
on the top.
Mech hype.
So now you have to wonder, is this... Fight up top. Matumba Man goes in onto Lil. There's no Song of the Siren here. He does have an ensnare. Dark Pact on cooldown, but there's your Shadow Dance. And I think Lil is dead meat. Yeah, they'll chop up that Naga Siren and sell it to a local fish market. Nice.
I mean, I guess you could argue that double mech isn't...
Naga had Gem as well. That's a big pickup.
Oh, jeez.
That's actually huge.
I guess you could argue it's not useless here. You've got a 25-minute cooldown on the Restore buff, I believe, after which you can cast the other mech, and it has a 65-second overall cooldown on the item. So maybe they look at it like 4 anchors have massive AoE damage. Let's get 2 mechs so that we can heal out a bit of that initial AoE burst, and then as the first mech wears off, use the second one. But it's kind of risky. If you mistime it, your mech's completely wasted. And
so the window is 25 seconds.
Yeah, so you've got a 40-second window where you can use the other mech, basically.
Okay.
So it's not terrible. It's just you don't really fully benefit. It's a pretty expensive item.
Yeah, it reminds me of Aghanim's Chen a little bit. It's really great for that sort of push, back up, push again, those fights that have a very small break in between while the other team's sitting in the well, but most fights will break out and be done in that window. But yeah, he'll get jumped on by Matumba Man. There is some support nearby though, and G, the tankiest of the team, force the Shadow Dance out of Matumba Man, and now he'll back up, but could someone else get caught in the fray here? Lil popping forward, looking for another target to initiate on, but Trixie, very elusive now with that Blink Dagger, will not get left behind.
And the thing is, like, I feel like it would make a little more sense against heavy physical damage, but then again, at that point you could also get a Crimson, as you suggested, and when it's magic damage, why not just get a pipe with one of the items, which, look at the damage sources here. We've got Flame Guard, we have Pounce, Dark Pact, Ion Shell, Vacuum, all magic damage. Later on, 4 anchors are primarily physical, but they're not really yet. As Valix Invis looking for DK Phobos mid. Alright, get him here.
Splinter Blast. Oh, there's the winner's curse. That'll lock him in place as Nemphy comes cruising on in, but Snowball. Nemphy's trying to melt it as best he can, but he can't quite heat it up enough. Now Phobos in trouble. Vacuum back. That'll finish him off. The rest of VP on their way over. G will mech up. That tops everyone off. Illidan not really in fighting form here with just Vlad's Battle Fury getting controlled very hard this fight. Revenant forward.
By the way, they pop both of the mechs at once there, so it's kind of the danger is you don't always have time to like, okay, I'm gonna mech first. You just chill. Yeah. You save your mech for when we really need it in the chaos of a team, but you often just like mech.
Uh-oh, Lil gets jumped on. The Dark Pact not used yet. Lil will just TP home. And that's a Song of the Siren on cooldown. FNG on the high ground. Matumba Man might find him here. He's a little bit low on mana, and Bane will just float back to safety. Meanwhile, on the bottom, Illidan trying to farm. Gets caught out by Boogie. The Lawnmower's on his way and connects with long-range Searing Chains. He's got the Ion Shell, almost enough damage. Matumba Man's there with the Blink to finish him off. Gives him that shiv to the kidney. Unstoppable streak for the Slark. And it's the 4 anchors coming out big here. Look at this gold graph. The tides have completely shifted. Now they're the ones ahead by 4K, XP, and net worth.
All right, well, they get the anti-mage. They've really shut him down. I mean, after the way this game started, Andrew, I really assumed that, to be honest, like, VP were just going to snowball it. 4 Protect 1 with the fast mech on Viper, and AM just free farm. So that has not been the case at all.
Yeah, Matumba Man just goes cruising in. This Dark Pack doing wonders. He finishes off the Bane. 1 mech gets used, but it just does so little. Phobos falls straight away. Now G, he's all isolated. He's stuck alone. He goes down.
Destructing here.
VP are falling apart. It's 16-11, and now they're losing structures.
Jeez. They're just getting run over.
That's another 3K swing right there.
There's just no other way to put it. They're just getting brutalized at this point. AM is, well, back up, but what does he do? He's not combat ready. He's split push ready. That's it. But AM will not outcarry a Slark if Slark is even on farm late game. Eventually Slark gets to that point where you have your Scotty, your Abyssal Blade, and you win man fights because you keep on stealing their stats. It gets easier and easier to do more damage. They are squishier. Yep. Late game Slark beats a lot of these melee agi carries, and AM certainly on that list.
And you have that personal reset tool in the Shadow Dance. Once you get towards that super late game and it's man on man, carry on carry, you can almost always say, wait, let me stop this fight, let me regen up 30 to 40%, then we'll come back at it another day. Anti-Mage doesn't quite have that luxury, and you talked about the Scotty as one of those core items. Guess who's just picked one up? That would be Matumba Man. He is huge.
Speaking of Matumba Man, he's just waiting on the high ground. I just think VP's been caught off guard by 4 anchors 5-man. Honestly, they're like, okay, we're just gonna play this a little bit more patiently, let AM farm 4-man with the mech, but they just haven't had that opening. Dylan blinks in, he'll get almost killed instantly by Matumba Man. There's your chains. Oh, they run him down. 4 anchors crushing your direct TI invites, VP. It's a godlike streak for Matumba. Chains will find DK Phobos, and this ball just keeps on rolling forward. They'll look to bring him down as well. Boogie for now a bit isolated. They bring forward Matumba Man. He goes on to GM. While that's happening, they also almost finish off the Tusk in the end, denied by the sleep. Nice play by FNG still, though. 4 anchors, crushed forward, looking for FNG with the Splinter Blast. They'll find him. The Arctic Burn doing work. Another kill. He's beyond godlike twice now. This just might be over. He leaps onto Lil on the high ground, kills him before he can even zone. It's a team wipe once more. Just tap out, honestly. You're not coming back from that.
Yeah, it's a 1 for 5 and so many of those track kills. That's the other thing that we haven't talked about in much detail, but the anchors have gotten so much momentum just because of these track kills. And it may not feel like a lot. We talked about this yesterday, that 50 extra gold for each ally. Remember, there's a lot of allies in those kind of team fights, so that really compounds quickly. Now the tier 3 up top taking a lot of damage. Matama Man forces out the glitch, just mans up onto Illidan. Illidan's gonna fall here. He gets off a mana void, but it does next to nothing.
They seem like they're really tilting. They're just running in one at a time, playing very cocky, and Matama Man solo sieging the enemy base.
Wow, this is...
And like you said, they're up against track gold. Like, even if you win a bunch of fights, even if you get ahead, which would be quite a miracle, 4 anchors can still come back from that point.
And look at this graph. It has just balled out of control.
It was that one fight. It really was that one fight. The first time it dips up at the top lane, they get the team wipe. Ever since then, it's just been all 4 anchors all the way.
Yeah. And between this kind of weird double mech strategy for Virtus Pro, I think suffice it to say it has not worked out so well. We haven't seen great coordination with the mechs, and partially not even a fault to VP. It's just difficult, especially when the other team is so aggressive running at you in this mid game. You're just thinking, I need to survive. We need to not get team wiped. Forget about all this choreographed mech nonsense. But
so it's worth mentioning that even if you upgrade to Guardian's Greave, it still does not, the heal does not stack even then with a mech. So one of the big benefits, in theory, not available to you in mechanical practice.
The other thing about double mech that is kind of a stinker is that it's really mana intensive. That's nearly 500 mana they have to shill out in these heals. Viper...
Tusk can afford it because he's got arcane boots. Viper did go for the early point booster and was really farmed, so...
He has the Aghanims now, but...
Not a huge deal, but yeah, it can, there are definitely lineups where it would be even worse. That's for sure, depending on how you itemize.
Now,
by the way, did we mention that Slark has a basher?
No.
Slark has a basher.
But, I was going to say big item progression on the Radiant side.
0, and 4.
Just in general. Solar Crest on the Bounty Hunter now. Glimmer Cape on the Winter Wyvern. Even a Battle Fury out on the Ember Spirit. He's recovered quite a bit. And the Dark Seer, he's got Guardian Greaves and now probably working on a Hex, I'd imagine, with that Ultimate Orb. They're getting everything they want.
They're looking to Illidan just into the creep wave right after he saw the Ember Spirit. He's going to be cursed quickly. Is there any sort of follow-up? There is. Leaping on in. They mech him up. They zoned to keep him alive. But can VP re-engage? What's the follow-up to this is the question. They get the tracks out. They've already got 2. And this could get real ugly real quickly. There's the back. And now G surrounded, pounded, and brought down. Matama Man hunting. He wants to die.
Well, Phobos tries to slow him down, hits him with a Walrus Punch. FNG gets left behind, the snowball charging up. Who knows where it's going? Right on to Nemphy. All the while, Matama Man goes in onto Lil. Naga's going to go down. And on the backside there, Tusk got picked off as well. A 4 for nil, rather. Anti-Mage, the one hero that survives for the Dire side. And I don't think this lone defender will be able to do too much against the high ground siege. Dire.
And now they have level 2 track. And VP are like, we're not stopping this snowball out of control. It looks like such a tiny lead they had at the early game now when you look at the graph, but it was really a substantial lead at 14 minutes. They had, like, 4K, especially 5K. The way the gold was distributed. Freeform AM, they had shut down the enemy Ember super hard, and that's a hero that needs to have a decent start to usually to have an impact. And they had a really fast mech, but it was that one big fight top. They trickled in one by one. They got caught off guard by the 4 anchors' aggression, and then from there, just 4 anchors all the way.
Yeah, I'm glad we talked about Bounty Hunter in the context we did during the draft, because 4ASC played this almost a